Me and post-breakup glow-ups, yeah. Hey bestie, welcome back. If you're new here, my name's Ashley and we talk all things self-love and self-development on this channel. If that sounds like something you might be interested in, then I super recommend clicking the subscribe button down below. I recently celebrated my 1-year anniversary of my breakup, and that's not typically something that you tend to celebrate, but this was a huge achievement for me. I'm here to tell you, as living, breathing proof, the world doesn't end. You actually can be happy again. And moving on is possible. If you're going through a breakup, this video is for you. Let me give a little context on my relationship and the breakup. So it was about 10 years. We were friends for 2, we dated for 3, and we were broken up for 5. During those 5 years, it was incredibly complicated. We had the label as friends to other people, but we didn't do what friends do. If you catch my drift. It was on again, off again. The entirety of our relationship was extremely toxic. We had a trauma bond and we also grew up together, so we really didn't know any better. What made the relationship finally end was he betrayed me in one of the worst ways that he knew he could. He willingly, knowingly chose to do what he did. After that, I realized things will never change. I will never respect myself. Others will never respect me if I stay. He knew what he was doing and he still chose to hurt me. I'm so glad that I decided to leave. I couldn't even begin to imagine where I would be if I had stayed. Crazy to think about. September 18th of 2023 was when I began yet another healing journey. The first 3 months felt impossible. I actually felt like I was dying. When you go through a breakup, the first few months hurt so bad because you are literally breaking an addiction. You are literally going cold turkey on all of these habits that you had this other person integrated into, especially if it was toxic. If it was a toxic relationship, then it quite literally was an addiction, and I have a whole video on toxic relationships. You can go ahead and check that out later after this. The human brain also recognizes some emotional pain as physical pain. The first 3 months, I had literally no appetite, and when I did, I could only eat Taco Bell. I couldn't stop crying. I got little to no sleep, and I had to depend on substances in order to sleep or just like be calm. I couldn't be alone, so I would either always be on Instagram or TikTok live, hanging out with a friend, or I would go hang out with my parents. I would just always be like texting someone. Like, I could not be alone. And this was partially because I also am mentally ill and I don't have the best history of healthy coping mechanisms, if you get what I'm saying. I also just always needed a distraction, so these people helped serve as a distraction. I was also incredibly angry and sad all the time. All I could think about was him, but more specifically the situation. I was just trying to understand why he could do what he did. I was trying so badly to reason, because the human brain, we don't understand unknown. So there just always has to be an answer to something. And that's what makes grief so difficult, because sometimes there isn't an answer. And I also felt this pit in my stomach all the fucking time. If you've experienced the pit, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. And if you have not experienced the pit, then I'm so glad. I hope you never experience it. It's actually one of the worst feelings to live with. When it came to trying to stick with no contact, that is when I felt like I was going the craziest. My brain had recognized him as my safe person, as my coping mechanism. So whenever I was sad, which was all the time, all I wanted to do was talk to him, but my brain didn't get, he's the reason why I'm so sad, babe, so we're not talking to him. What I learned during the first 3 months was you have to have power over your brain, and it's going to feel nearly impossible, but you have to fight every physical instance and like symptom of you wanting to go back. The reason why we get so anxious with unknowns, and thus why grief is so hard, especially breakups, is because their brain doesn't recognize that like this person isn't here anymore, and it'll tend to choose what is familiar rather than what is unfamiliar. Even if the familiar is a known danger, the known danger always outweighs the unknown safety. Month like 4 through 7, it started to become easier. It wasn't easy yet. I could start to eat again probably around month 4. I could sleep without substances around month 5. I was still really, really angry. Anger is probably the emotion that lasted the longest. And of course, I was still sad. I was still grieving my best friend, and I was grieving that this person didn't turn out to be the person that I thought they were. I was grieving the fact that he was actually capable of doing what he did. The pit started to appear less, I would say, around month 5 or 6. I don't really remember exactly when the pit finally went away, but there was just a day that it just stopped. Around this time, I was still having a difficult time fighting no contact and trying to not reach out during my most depressive episodes. Definitely was easier than in the first 3 months. During months like 4 through 7, I reached out to my support system, as well as just like try to rely on my own coping skills, and I tried to remind myself of why we were no contact. Months like 6 through 9 were way easier. I would say the sadness went away probably around like month 7 or 8. Still felt quite a bit of anger. Honestly, I don't think the anger went away until probably last month or 2 months ago. After month 6 or 7, I didn't really feel a need to break no contact. I have no reason to ever want to speak to him. Month 7 or 8, I stopped thinking about him and the breakup as often as I used to. It was still like once a day, but more just like a quick blip or something would remind me of him. Month 5 or 6, that's when my appetite went completely back to normal, and when I really started my self-development, my glow up journey, and when the post-breakup glow up really started to hit. Me and post-breakup glow ups, months 9 through 12 were honestly the easiest, like smooth sailing. I couldn't even really believe like how far I had come and how close I was to celebrating a year post breakup. Now I feel nothing towards him or the breakup. I feel indifference. I held on to the anger and the hatred for a very long time. I now just feel bad for him. Like, wow, you really think it's okay to treat people the way that you do. You really lack that emotional intelligence that is required to treat people with respect and kindness. I now just feel at peace. Like, I've completely accepted the breakup. I've accepted that he was not my person, and I'm now at this point of practicing gratitude that he wasn't my person. I just honestly find it kind of laughable, like the whole situation, because again, like, wow, you really thought that was an okay thing to do? I don't wish him the best. And also, it's okay, you don't have to wish people the best, especially if they like kind of really fucked you up. I am now on a full-blown self-development, self-love journey. I truly have never been happier in my entire freaking life. I'm dating again. I would say like I want to meet my person, but I'm also just learning how to have fun with dating. Now let's talk about no contact. I'm not gonna go too in depth about no contact because I feel like this could be a whole separate video in and of itself. Remind yourself why it ended. I don't know what your situation is, but for me, I reminded myself that someone who truly loved me and cared for me wouldn't have done what he did. That is why I am no contact with him. I deserve better than what he did and how he treated me. Every day that you break no contact is another day that you are slowing down your healing journey. You are preventing the person who is actually gonna treat you the way that you deserve from meeting you. You are actively disrespecting yourself, and you're just continuing to give this person power over you. You're not weak if you break no contact, but there is just like a point where you have to say, enough is enough. I'm tired of my own shit. I'm tired of their shit. Truly, after the first 3 months, it will get better. The first 3 months I feel like are the most difficult. You will never get comfortable with discomfort unless you deal with it head on, and that is by blocking them, removing any reminders of them, and just saying, no, I can fucking do this because I deserve better. Something else that really helped me was thinking about my friends and family as well as my future self. My friends and family had to deal with our relationship just as long as I did. They knew about what happened. I realized that if I go back to him, they will lose respect for me. They will never be a source of emotional support for me again as it concerns our relationship. They deserve better than that. They deserve more than giving me advice, emotional labor, just for me to be like, actually, I'm gonna stay with him. I thought about my future self and like, is this really what I wanna put up with for the rest of my life? Or can I deal with this hurt now? The hurt of no longer having him in my life, but possibly invite a bigger, better, truer, unconditional love. Choose to hurt now, but be happier later rather than extend this hurt, continue to disrespect myself. You should also take it day by day. Just keep reminding yourself that you are so much stronger than you think. Mind over matter, I know, cliche, but it is so, so true. It gets easier after the first 100 days. I would say I stopped regularly counting after like day 60-ish, 70-ish, like in the like 70 to 80 range. I stopped counting. And I would get a lot of questions about like, well, like, why are you counting? It was showing myself I can do this. And if I were to get to day like 50 and break it, that feels so fucking shitty. I really, really wanted to make it to day 100, and now I'm at almost day 365, 1 year of no contact, and I feel like counting like really, really helped me in that. It helped keep me accountable so that I could celebrate the small wins, which I don't know, I feel like there are only ever big wins when it comes to healing for a breakup. I celebrated day 7, I celebrated day 30, 60, 90, 100, and now of course I'm celebrating day 365. We're gonna get a cake. We're gonna have a girls' night. It's gonna be so fun. You may not understand why it ended right now. Eventually, you will find some sort of reasoning that will allow you to practice gratitude. And there will be a day where you will feel happy and grateful that you didn't end up with this person, that it didn't continue on longer than it did. I hate when people say, if I can do it, so can you. But if I can do it, so can you. He was the only constant I knew, and it was 10 years, and I was going through some like insanely traumatic shit that no child should ever have to deal with. He was my safe person. I trusted him more than my family, than my other friends. Like, he was my lifeline. I could not do anything without him. I am so glad to be standing on my own 2 feet and that I have found safety and love and joy in myself. If I can unlatch from this person and choose to respect and love myself, choose to venture into the unknown and work on myself and heal these broken parts of me and heal my trauma, heal my attachment issues, and be open to accepting love from someone else in the way that I deserve, then you can do it too. You are better off without them. You are so worthy of love. You will receive that from someone else eventually, but you need to focus on yourself and heal. It's gonna be okay, I promise. That concludes this week's video. Thank you so, so much for watching. If you made it this far, comment a little mended, bandaged heart emoji. If you found this helpful, be sure to give it a like and subscribe, as well as comment any other tips that have helped you through a breakup for anyone else watching this. If you maybe like me, like my content, be sure to follow me on Instagram and TikTok. If you want to chat with me more or make other friends all around the world who are also on a self-love, self-development journey, be sure to check out my Discord. You can find all of my links in the description box down below. Thanks again for hanging, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye! Are we cooking? Are we really? Oh my god, my teeth are looking so white today. Hi! Oh, you're so sweet.